October 17th is fast approaching, and according to this article, October 17th is the National Pronouns Day. The article, or rather the blog post, also claims that non-binary pronouns are older than we think. So let's investigate that. If you're new to my channel, welcome, hi, hello, I'm Lana. I am a linguist by education and artist by heart, and I usually try to talk about both of these topics on my channel here. I recently came across a blog post that you can see on screen right now about neopronouns throughout history before the 21st century, basically. Let's see what they have to say about this topic. I'm not going to touch on every single thing this post mentions because the author wraps it up with basically telling you what website you can visit if you want to create your own hashtag unique pronoun, and that you can buy artisanal patches on Etsy. So it's full of it covers a big range when it comes to pronouns, let's put it this way. I'm gonna focus on the most interesting linguistic bits. We'll even make a detour to Teddy Roosevelt in the end. Don't ask why, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Firstly, I have a teeny tiny little bone to pick with the title of the article, of the blog post. So, non-binary pronouns are older than we think. Okay, let's remember that the definition of non-binary, as we know it today, is basically neither a man nor a woman. If you ask Google, the definition for non-binary ranges from no gender to a third gender to more than one gender, to even fluctuating gender identity. But in short, neither a man nor a woman. So let's keep that in mind. And now let's see, when the article talks about neopronouns throughout history, what do they mention? The author gives us a few examples. Apparently, the poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge suggested it as a gender-neutral pronoun, as in every poet wants to see its work in print. Yeah, that didn't really catch on. A writer, JWL, came up with Z. I couldn't find any more information on this, maybe I just didn't dig deep enough, but I saw this sentence copy-pasted on many different articles, websites, but really nothing else about it. For all we know, it may well be fake, it may well be a popular belief that is in fact incorrect, I don't know. Make of that what you will. Then in 1912, Ella Flagg Young apparently invented here, himmer, and hisser. And then in 1930, the author of Winnie the Pooh toyed with the idea of the pronoun hish, proclaiming that if the English language had been properly organized, then there would be a word which meant both he and she. And I could write, if John or Mary comes, Hish will want to play tennis, which would save a lot of trouble. Now this last sentence, or rather quotation, is pretty important because it tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the reason why these alternative neopronouns came into existence in the first place. These new words did not come to be because someone wanted to create a word that meant neither a man nor a woman, not because these categories were too restrictive and we needed something else, something other, something non-binary, something third. It's clear even from the written forms, when you look at them, of some of these neopronouns, that the people who invented them were aiming to economize language, to coin a pronoun that when used in a sentence would mean either the man or the woman that was previously mentioned somewhere in the text, in the conversation. Not some third gender entity, not some non-gendered entity. In some cases, it's even evident that these pronoun makers tried to amalgamate, join he and she into hish, his and hers into hisser, him and her into himmer, into one single shorter word. So the reason why I think the title of this blog post is a little bit off, I'm not really going to use the word deceptive, but you know, it's a bit clickbaity probably, but it's not technically all that correct. It's fine if he means that these various neologisms from the past have been brought back and are now being used by some people today who wish for others to refer to them with these pronouns. but the original creation and the reason behind original creation of these pronouns had nothing to do with the concept of non-binary as we know it today. And then we get to thon, not thong. Get your minds out of the gutter. This one gets its own chapter in this video. Now here the author tells us that in 1884, the American composer C.C. Converse invented the neopronoun thon. And since there isn't all that much more to this in this blog post, I found this article from the good year 2014. It gives us a little bit more background on this word. Thon was created from that plus one. And just like in the previous cases, it's important to clarify that thon was not coined to be some gender-neutral pronoun for someone who sees themselves as neither man nor woman. Its purpose was to serve as an alternative, more economical way of saying he or she. There's been a long series of attempts to bring into English a singular pronoun that can be used for either males or females, to avoid constructions like he or she, as in, when a professor teaches a class, he or she, blah blah blah. And this makes sense. People love to optimize language, and we continue to do it to this day. Just think about the informal texts you send to your friends and family. They're probably full of abbreviations. I doubt very much that you use proper capitalization and proper punctuation. We try to economize language, it's what we do. But going back to thon, it was actually quite popular. It was something that had a function, that had a reason for existence. Maybe it wasn't that nice sounding, but it wasn't completely pointless. Yet it didn't stick. It was probably because this was a very artificial change or attempt at change. The article quotes a statement that I think explains pretty well why thon ultimately faded into obscurity. Our common language is the outcome of our daily needs, rather than the result of a philologist's labors in his study. Now, before I wrap this up, I have a fun little palate cleanser, a fun fact that the second article, the one about thon, mentioned. Maybe you learned about this in school if you're American, but it was quite interesting to me. Apparently, Teddy Roosevelt, the President Theodore Roosevelt, was among those who championed the simplification of spelling to make English, quote, more phonetic. In 1906, the Simplified Spelling Board was created, and its members wanted to essentially minimize the differences between the English spelling and phonetics, pronunciation. For example, the word enough would be spelled more phonetically like this, enough. I never knew that Americans attempted this, but it was especially funny to me because we in the Balkans have a saying that goes "Piši kao što govoriš," which basically means write it the way you say it, spell it the way you pronounce it, right? Now, the Simplified Spelling Board's idea as a whole didn't really take root. However, several examples did and remain until this day. These spelling changes are now the differences between British versus American spelling. For example, honor versus honor, center versus center, and plow instead of plow. Now, for the next video, I made some promises a while ago in regards to my series on Tolkien's constructed languages, which I started and did a few videos on that, but I still have a few to do. And I think we're gonna move on to Khuzdul if everything goes according to plan. So yeah, hopefully my next video will be the continuation of Tolkien's constructed languages series. So if you're curious about this topic, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so that you don't miss the video when I finally manage to do it. I'm losing the sun, so I have to wrap this up. Until then, guys, take care and I'll see you soon.
He is always right.